All right. Everybody's kind of quieting down, so it feels like a natural time to get started. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today for Career 101, Career Prep for Freshmen. We've got a really great kind of session planned for you all. We're going to talk a little bit about planning for your future career, and we have John over here from Career Pathways, who's going to give us a really in-depth presentation on how to figure out what your career aim is, what kind of goals you should have for your first semester, job and internship resources, networking tips, building your resume, and also cover letters. So we'll cover a lot of the basics of career preparation all in this presentation. And then at the end, we'll also talk a little bit about maximizing your first year summer. So with that, before we jump in, my name is Annalise Loffer. I am one of the assistant directors for first year advising. I recognize some of your faces in this room because I get the privilege of working with you all. John, do you want to briefly introduce yourself?
Yes. So my name is John Folger. I am one of the career advisors in Dornside Career Pathways. We are very similar to, say, the Central Career Center, but we only work with Dornside students. We have myself, a couple of other advisors. We also have a mentorship program, pre-law, pre-grad. So basically anything to do with careers or anything after your undergraduate, we help you with. So that's kind of who I am and what I do.
Thanks, John. And now to make sure that you all also get the opportunity to maybe meet some of the other folks in this room, I encourage you all to take a couple seconds, turn to a neighbor, ideally someone who you did not come here with. So if you have to turn behind or in front, that's fine. But finish this sentence. When I was blank years old, I wanted to be blank when I grow up. And as an example, when I was 8 years old, I thought I was either going to be an apple farmer or a professional snowboarder. Why that two combination, I have no idea. So now, why don't you all go ahead and share with each other some of the things you might have wanted to be. All right. Did everybody get a chance to learn about some of your childhood dreams? Does anybody want to share? You do get a prize. Anybody want to share about what they wanted to be when they grew up? Yeah.
I wanted to be a detective.
You wanted to be a detective? Well, that's pretty cool.
Plans have changed though.
Well, that's exactly what this is all about, is thinking about what we want to be when we grow up. Yeah.
I wanted to be a zoologist.
A zoologist. Do you still want to be a zoologist?
No.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, we got one over here. A firefighter. That's a good one. Sorry, I'm really not good at this. I saw a hand back there.
Yeah, I remember when I was 6, I wanted to be a baker or something.
A baker. That's a great one. Over there.
I wanted to be a news reporter or a journalist.
A news reporter or a journalist. Fantastic. We'll do two more.
Really?
Okay.
Oh, well, I wanted to be an actress.
An actress. And over there in the corner. A professional soccer player. My husband would still like to be a professional soccer player. All right, thanks all. I think it's really fun to start off that way, of what we wanted to be when we were young, because you're at this point in your lives where so many career possibilities are options, and some of those things that you may have thought you wanted to be, you may be at a point where you're maybe reevaluating, or you're learning about new career options, or you're thinking about a wider array of possibilities. So I think it's fun to start with where we thought we might want to be as we start thinking about where we think we might want to go in the future. So now we're going to move on to planning for your future career, and we're going to let John go ahead and present.
Wonderful. Hello, everyone. I am John again. To kind of go over again what we do, it's basically everything that has to do with careers, or everything that has to do with everything after you graduate. Some highlights that I want to point out, because I am here and I get to point it out, is that second one, which is the Ask John podcast. It is something where you get to listen to me talk at you for 5 to 10 minutes at a time on different career topics. I really enjoy it. Sometimes students don't want to have a one-on-one appointment. I recommend you do have a one-on-one appointment, but you can listen to different career topics. Everything that we do, all of the program that we do is super important, super valid. Please check out our website. It is Dornsife Career Pathways. If you Google Dornsife Career Pathways, we are the first thing that pops up. I know because I've tested it multiple times. Check out our website. There's more stuff than I have time to talk about, and most of your questions can be answered on that website, and then you can come and talk to us. So, just like we were just talking about, the first question when it comes to careers or post-graduation, post-college, is this question. What is your career aim? If you haven't thought about it yet, that's okay. That's why we're doing this. This is your homework for today from my part of this presentation, is to start thinking about this question. What is my aim? That's how we create career development. That's how we create career goals, is we have an end goal in sight. That can be as broad as, this is how much I want to be making. This is the type of work I want to be doing. I want to be working with people. I don't want to work with people. But start creating goals. Start creating an aim so you have something to work towards. Because as somebody who talks to students all day long, it is very difficult to have a lot of the conversations I have if the student doesn't have that aim. They don't know where they're ending up. So if you start there, the rest of it kind of fills in pretty naturally. So when we are talking career development, we really, in our office, and I believe it, we start in 3 different levels. We have self-assessment, exploration, and then action. So what I mean by self-assessment, this is getting to know yourself. Who are you? What do you value? What's important to you? And what do you want to do with your life? We have different assessments on our website that we recommend to you. Even if you've already taken them, I recommend you take them again. Get to know yourself. Really do that self-reflection. Because once you have that self-reflection, who are you as a person? We can start exploring. We can start looking what jobs kind of connect with those values, those personality traits that you have, those aspects of you that make you you. Once we know what's out there, we can start making action steps. We can start applying. We can start making resumes. We can start doing all of those things that a lot of people think of. But it's actually very, very difficult to take those action steps if you don't have that foundation of who you are and the information. A slogan that I have personally created for myself when I'm talking to people is, information is the currency of careers. The more information you have about a subject, the more likely you are to get into that career field because you know what's required of you. So that's what we want to do, is we want to look at the broad career landscape and then go through these steps of self-assessment, exploration, action, so that it leads back to what we started with, which is your career aim. So, I never fixed those number points. Well, now we learn. These are kind of the steps you want to be taking, the timeline. So in year 1, you want to be researching. You want to get to know yourself, doing that self-assessments, get to know what fields are out there, what do these employers want. Your first year, this is the time to be gathering information. I say that because a lot of internships, they do not open internships a lot of times to first-year students. I don't know why employers do that. It seems backwards to me personally, but that's just the world we live in. So this is really the time to be looking at for the future, for your 2nd, 3rd, and 4th years. What are these jobs and these internships that you're looking for in the future, that career aim? What are they looking for now? So that you can start planning your life. You can start getting maybe part-time positions in a separate field that will give you interpersonal communication or problem-solving skills, whatever they're looking for. Taking additional classes over the summer, taking classes in the spring so you know what they're looking for. Join clubs if available. Getting as much experience with yourself as you can. 2nd year, based on your research, start applying to internships. In 2nd year, you are probably not going to get those high-tier number 1 places you want to go internships. Those are probably a little bit out of your reach in your 2nd year. Certainly apply, certainly try, but this is the time to gain a little bit more practical experience and start applying some of these career aims. Year 3, target the internships that you want. What do you want? And then in year 4, set yourself up for post-graduation. whether that means additional education in graduate school, law school, med school, whatever is happening for you, or starting to apply to jobs. The general timeline, this is generally speaking, if you are thinking of like consulting, tech, just those like solid business type ideas. A lot of internship recruitment timelines, they start very early in the year. I'm talking July, August, September for kind of those consulting type and tech type things for the next summer, just so you're aware. For other industries, it's kind of a rolling recruitment timeline. You're just gonna have to kind of research and see when those applications are coming up. So, how do you find these jobs and internships that I've been talking about? Let me take a step back, I apologize. Why you should apply. So, internships and job and real world experiences allow you to put practical reasoning, practical results behind what you're learning. A lot of employers very, very highly target and prioritize, can the person do the job? The way I like to think of jobs in the career world is your employer is making an investment in you. You're supposed to do some sort of activity which is going to bring in some sort of resource for that company, whether that's students coming and talking to you, like my job, whether that's physical clients bringing into a consulting portfolio, whatever it is. So you want to show off to these employers, I can do the job that you want me to do. So some good places to be looking for internships and jobs is ConnectSC, or if you're a Dornsife student, which you are, is Dornsife Compass. On Dornsife Compass, you have access to job postings, resources, additional help. It's how you set up counseling appointments with our office. Dornsife Compass is really the one-stop shop outside of our website, Career Pathways. So this is ConnectSC, Dornsife Compass looks the exact same. This is what your profile page is going to look like. If you go to that job search or that jobs tab on the top right there, that is how you find these positions that I'm talking about. I recommend just even now, even though maybe internships aren't the ones you want, might not be open to you right now as a first year student, I recommend getting in the habit of opening up this jobs tab and seeing what's out there at least once a week for a set amount of time. Set it as part of your schedule, much like how you do your laundry or go grocery shopping. Plan in career development. Plan in time to just look what new internships are posting, because they are posted constantly. Plan it into your day. Once you get to this jobs, you type in the keyword. What I mean by keyword is kind of the job title you're looking for, the area you're looking for. You can get as broad or as specific as you want with that. Then we recommend you also focus down to position type. So if you're looking for internships, you can go to that position type internship, paid, unpaid, or only unpaid, whatever is working for you. Part-time, on-campus work is being posted. We are now slowly seeing research opportunities also being posted on Compass. It's very slow. We're trying to get faculty to pick up the pace on putting their research opportunities on there, but it is slowly being on there, so you can even find them on there. This is the number one place that I recommend you look for jobs and internships, is the USC resources, which is ConnectSC and Dornsife Compass. There's also on-campus recruiting if you are looking for an on-campus job. For non-USC resources, the big ones that I utilize and I recommend are LinkedIn, Indeed, Handshake, Glassdoor, or just Googling it. No matter what job searching website you're using, this includes ConnectSC and Dornsife Compass, but especially these outside USC resources, these third parties, make sure that you also, as much as possible, you are going to the place of business. So if you want a job at Google, go to the Google Careers page. I give you that warning because a lot of times on these third-party websites, sometimes their information is incorrect or outdated. So as much as possible, go to the company that you're looking for. Use these as information gathering of, oh, there are positions open at this company, and then going to that company website. So that brings us to a fantastic information gathering tool as you're kind of putting together your career development plan is networking. Again, information is the currency of careers, and the absolute best information you can possibly get about any career you're going into is by talking to the people who are in that position. I am not a consultant. I am not in the consulting field. I am not a doctor. I am not a surgeon. I can tell you the general information of what it's like to get in there, but talking to somebody who is in that field will give you the most accurate and up-to-date information possible. So as much as possible, you want to be talking to the people who are in that field. And that's all networking is. A lot of times when we talk about networking, we get this idea of it's some mysterious process, that there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. All networking is a fancy way of saying talking to people. So there are different ways to network. Casual networking is just kind of building a relationship. This is the best sort of networking. Trying to get to know people, talking to them about their day. Engaging in small talk. You can do this with anyone. You can do this with professors, you can do this with roommates, you can do this with professionals in the fields that you're going into, and it's just kind of gathering information about them, who they are, what they do, which can sometimes, not always, and this should not be your number one goal in networking, it can sometimes lead to internship and job positions. As you are building this relationship with this professional, when they have a opening that they might know about, it is possible, and it happens all the time, of, oh, I know John, I talked to John, I've gotten to know him on a personal level, and I want to work with him more. That is the power of networking. Or it's just giving you information of, this is what it's actually like. Oh, I didn't know that day to day, as a career advisor, I'm going to be talking to students all day long. I want a little bit more separation between people. That's good information for you to know. As we were talking about strong connections, a strong connection is somebody that you can access. So you can reach out to them through LinkedIn, you can reach out to them through the Trojan Network, through your professors, faculty, staff. Any sort of connection where you can get face-to-face with them is considered a good connection. Talk to people is the baseline of this. The next thing I want to talk about is when you get face-to-face with these people, what sort of questions are you asking? These are kind of some general informational interview is what we call it, because you're interviewing somebody for information, and you're just asking them, what is it like? You don't necessarily want to ask for a job or give them your resume. You want to be just gathering information. A kind of tip with informational interviewing. Sometimes people are very hesitant to do informational interviewing, and I want to dissuade you from that by telling you a personal example. For these people where you're going and reaching out to them, sometimes they're just busy, or sometimes they don't have time, or whatever it is to talk to you. That's okay. But when you do get to talk to these people, if they are willing to and they set up the 10 or 15 minutes to talk to you, it's an exciting experience for them as well. I can say in my personal life, and I'm sure you guys can attest to this, and you can attest to this, in your everyday life, your friends and family, they don't ask you, my family doesn't ask me about my job because they live it. My wife lives with me. She sees what I do for work every day, and so she doesn't ask the nitty-gritty of it because she's there. So having somebody come in and saying, I want to know, what do you do every day? What does your day-to-day look like? And somebody who is actively listening and passionate about that, you will get so much information from these informational interviews. So prioritize them, do them. Are you gonna have to reach out to multiple people? Probably. But it's worth your time to do that reaching out. Again, reach out through the Trojan Network, reach out through LinkedIn, what other connections you might have. Attend networking events. What I mean by networking events, these are career fairs, internship fairs. Coming up this week, we have on Wednesday the graduate school fair, which will just be in the center of campus. On Thursday, we have the law school fair. So if you are even maybe thinking about graduate school or law school, come to this fair. Sign up, put your name in. Even if you don't sign up, you can still come through. Just walk through, see who's there. Stop in at a booth and say, what are you looking for in your graduate school or your law school? Again, information is the currency of careers. Just gather this information. Like I talked about, some good networking places are the Trojan Network. Coming and talking to us, we can also direct you to some other places to go. Through LinkedIn, if you go to the University of Southern California and you go to the alumni tab, you can look up all of the alumni from USC for specific years that you put in on LinkedIn. And then it's just a matter of reaching out to people until you get a hit back. Next, kind of speeding through things. Next is resumes. So once you kind of have done your research, you have your career aim, you have searched out jobs, you have done your networking, we want to put together a resume. On resumes, there are two different words that you might hear. You will hear resume and you will hear CV. Internationally, they mean the same thing. The United States, because we're weird, we have split these two words into two different categories. Resumes are used for employment. They highlight your work experience and they are 1 page in length. CV typically means in the United States it's for graduate school. It's putting together all of your research, all of your classes. It's everything to do with academically. Resume, work experience, CV, academic experience. Why are you a good student? Why should this graduate school accept you? And they can be multiple pages in length on a CV. So those are the main differences between the two. They have kind of unique structural differences that if you have questions, set up an appointment with one of our career advisors. But today I'm going to kind of go through the resume formatting. So this, believe it or not, this is what we want your resume to look like. Does it look boring? Yes, but that's okay. I personally, it's getting a little bit better, but I still do not recommend you use a template. Any sort of pre-made template, I do not recommend you use. What I recommend you do is you go through Google Docs, Microsoft Word, whatever, and you construct this yourself. So you put a bold education, tab, University of Southern California, Los Angeles, tab, 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 your graduation date. The reason I say this is because templates have weird background coding formatting. I can't explain it very well, but it has its unique formatting. If you send in an application through a website, what that website does, and this happens pretty much universally, is there's a software that takes that and then simplifies it to this, no matter what it looked like before. So if you have columns and different formatting and pictures and things, all of that kind of gets stripped away and gets mashed together. And then it's a mess and it is unreadable and it will not work. So I recommend this formatting. On your resume, there are a few things that you kind of have to have, and then everything after this is a little bit wishy-washy, meaning tailor it to what your employer is looking for. So you need a title, you need your name, you need your contact information, email address, LinkedIn. Next, we want to start with your education. For education, you just put all of the places that you have gone to college. For first year, and this is only for you first year freshman people, you can get away with keeping your high school stuff on there. But by the time of your second year, high school things need to go. We only care about college stuff. So let me reiterate that. For first year, you can kind of get away with it because it's what you have, because you're new to the college and adult scene. But after this year, you're going to want to get rid of that high school stuff. So you, on your education, you are putting your expected graduation date. If that changes, just change it when it changes. So for what it is now, put what it is expected to be. Next, I personally recommend you put relevant coursework. Relevant coursework allows you to show what sort of knowledge you have, even if you don't have practical working experience in it. That's a very common thing I hear with students of, I want to get into website design, but I'm a first year student. I haven't designed a website yet, but I've taken classes. This relevant coursework allows to show your employer I have the theoretical understanding, maybe not the practical. Under relevant coursework, we want your work experience on a resume. Under work experience, you put the position, where it was, and the dates that you worked there in reverse chronological order, meaning your most recent one first, whatever's present first. Under work experience, that's where the things you really, really should put ends. Everything after that, whether that's service, research, activities you've done, skills you have, that's where we tailor it to the position at hand. If they want leadership experience, having a section on leadership that you've done, that's a good idea. So beyond education, relevant coursework, and work experience, everything else on your resume is kind of fluid. A resume, again, is one page. We want to fill up that one page as much as we can, but we don't want to go over it. So with some additional subcategories that you can kind of think about are accomplishments, awards, certificates. If you're going into a kind of a technical field, certificates are a great way because it's additional education you've gotten. Conferences you've attended, publications, licenses, training. These subcategories, and there are additional ones as well. So, as you're putting together your bullet points, some things to remember. Bullet points are fragmented sentences. They don't have periods. If you do put a period at the end, just make sure you put periods at the end of all of your bullet points. Whatever kind of grammatical structuring you put, maintain it. If you don't put bullet points and you don't have to, if you don't put periods, and you don't have to, then don't put periods on anything. Reverse chronological order, most relevant, most recent first, and it's the most recent relevant experience. You don't have to, anything you put on your resume is what they're going to know and they're going to talk about you with. So if there's something you've done that isn't relevant, you don't have to put it on there, and they'll never know. So you want the most relevant experiences first. Most recent relevant. Action verbs, you want them in the present proper tense. So if you are currently in the position, everything you're doing is in present tense as if you were doing it today. Anything that you did in the past, so if you had a job that ended in September, it's in the past. Keep your resume to one page. In most cases, just keep it to one page. And then proofread. Nothing will sync your application faster than a grammatical or spelling mistake on your resume. That is the number one indication to an employer that this person isn't paying attention, isn't detail-oriented, and doesn't care, even though you might care. That's what kind of non-proofreading mistakes means to an employer. I hate to be blunt, but there it is. So, in developing your bullet point, the perfect bullet point answers these questions. What did you do? How did you do it? Why did you do it? And results, if any. Numbers are the tippy top thing you want on your results. Like I said, you are an investment to a company. If you have results, if you can show numbers of what you did, what you impacted, that shows your employer, hiring me, I can get you results, and here are the numbers to back that up. So as much as possible, we want to get as creative as possible to show results. So this is kind of the bullet point formula. What did you do? How did you do it? Why did you do it? And results. So when you're creating your resume and we tell you to tailor your resume, what that means is you want to take the language that they're using and use that language. So for example, if you are applying to a data analyst job and you, in a past experience you processed a string of data, but in the job position they want somebody who analyzed data, you put on your resume that you analyzed the data. You use the language that they're using to mirror them. I like to use the phrase, give the people what they want. If they want somebody who analyzes data, you analyze data. If they want somebody with leadership skills and you have done something leadership, that's what you're telling them. I have leadership skills. Give the people what they want. In conjunction with resumes, a lot of times employers will ask for something called a cover letter. What a cover letter is an extension of your resume. On resumes, we have those single sentence, and they're not even sentence, bullet points. Your cover letter allows you to expand on those single bullet points in longer form. It's a narrative form of your resume. When you are creating your resume, this is what we want it to look like. It's a single page, multiple paragraph, telling who you are and why you matter to them. At the beginning of your cover letter, you want to start with introducing yourself. Hello, my name is John. This is my degree from USC. I am applying to, in this example, I am applying to the teacher position at Rising Stars Foundation. The position and the company. You are sending it to the company. Why you have to say it twice, I don't know, but you do. So, in that first paragraph, you are saying who you are, and then you're saying why them. Why are you spending the time? What is important to you about this position? Why this position? And then your next, however many paragraphs you use, you are then explaining why you. These are the things that I have done that you should care about. The things you are pulling from is from the job description. Again, they want somebody who has experience managing people. You write a paragraph on a time when you managed a team. That can come from work experience, that can come from your club experience, that can come from your class experience. One time I was in organic chemistry, we had to do a group project, and I was chosen to be the leader. That is leadership experience. So in these paragraphs, each paragraph is a different experience, explaining why you matter to them, and then the ending of your cover letter is kind of combining the first paragraph and everything else you said of, based on what I know about your company, you value this, this, and this. I've just spent the last 3 paragraphs explaining that I have those. Let's get together and do some beautiful, beautiful work. So cover letters are still, many times they are being said that they are optional. I still recommend always sending a cover letter. It shows that you are putting in the little bit of extra effort. It allows you to explain your resume in a more narrative format. Those are kind of my recommendations there. I'm going to skip over that. So that is just a little bit of information about kind of career readiness. To close off my portion of this presentation, I really want to recommend 2 things. Number 1, start now. Start thinking about what do I want to do. And number 2, when you get to a roadblock and you're not sure, come talk to us. You can talk to us multiple times. I have people who come and I talk to them weekly, and we just kind of discuss different career matters. And at the end of our presentation, I can answer questions a little bit later. Thank you.
Thanks so much, John. And yeah, just the tip of the iceberg is what we're trying to cover today, but to give you like an idea of what's out there and all the resources and the things to start thinking of. So we're going to change gears a little bit, and we're going to talk about, now that you've learned a little bit about some of the steps in career development, what are some ways that we can maximize that first summer as you go from a freshman into your sophomore year. And there's a couple of different, I think sometimes students think that they need to have an internship, or they need to have one certain thing to maximize their summer. And there's lots of different ways that you can build skills and really get the most out of that time. Whether that be academic opportunities, career opportunities, or even some of those kind of additional opportunities that you might really grow your perspective or gain new skills and values from. So one of the big ones, especially in the first year for some students, is going to be summer coursework or experiential learning, especially since this isn't necessarily that summer where you may find that dream internship. Some students will use this summer to get a little ahead on some of their classes or their degree requirements, or to explore some new areas. So summer courses are available at USC. Registration typically begins in March. And you can definitely talk with your first year advisor about what are some good options for taking coursework. You can also take coursework outside of USC because you want to maybe go home for the summer, and home is not in Los Angeles. There are quite a few policies around taking classes outside of USC in terms of what can transfer in, how it transfers in, what units transfer in. So if you are interested in taking courses outside of USC, you should be talking to your academic advisor in the spring about that. But that's an opportunity as well. Faculty-led programs. So some of you may have already heard of Maymesters and Julymesters. These are standalone courses that happen mid-May to mid-June or mid-July to mid-August. Maymesters count as part of your spring enrollment. Julymesters count as part of your fall enrollment. So they do count towards the 18 units that your tuition covers. And these are opportunities. Some of them are abroad. Some of them are across the United States. So you get an opportunity with many of them to travel, to take a really cool course. There's major courses, there's GE courses, there's some language courses that you can complete. And applications for the Maymesters right now are due November 25th. So if that's something you're interested in doing, something you can talk to your first year advisor about, or search Maymesters. There's also summer programs, Problems Without Passports, and Catalina Island does, the Wrigley Institute on Catalina Island does their own Maymesters as well. And Julymesters, where you can actually go out to Catalina off the Pacific coast and spend some time at their research center there. There's also lots of experiential learning opportunities, be that research. You can do summer research. And all of these are linked, so I know it's hard to tell, but all of these hyperlinks are there, and you will get this presentation. So if you're interested in any of these things, opportunities to take coursework that counts towards your degree or to gain experience through different learning opportunities. There's experiential learning they do. The Joint Education Project, where they go and help with educational initiatives throughout the Los Angeles area. So there's lots of ways to gain experience, even if it's not formal classwork as well. Talked a little bit about research. So as John mentioned, some of the research positions are being opened up on, or being advertised on Dornsife Compass. There's also a couple websites that USC runs where you can see different research opportunities and where different ways to find research. There's also funding opportunities for research. For example, SURF is the Summer Undergraduate Research Fund. SURE is similar for humanities, and they cover up to $3,000 to support summer research with a faculty member. And a lot of students find these opportunities by looking at those portals, by talking to their own faculty to see if they have any opportunities, by emailing faculty, doing some research into faculty, looking at what they study, and then direct contacting faculty, introducing yourself, sending a resume, asking them if you can meet to talk about their research. So research is definitely one of those things that if you're interested in doing, we encourage you to get involved in early, because a lot of, while there are some faculty who will want more advanced students, so sophomores and above, there are also a lot of faculty that are very interested in freshmen because you have the opportunity to really do a lot in the lab over 3 or 4 years. So research is another thing that a lot of our students will take advantage of over the summer. We did talk about internships, and like John said, internships, you kind of become more competitive for them typically the more time you spend here. But you can use the Dornsife Career Pathways, Dornsife Compass, the USC Career Center, and Connect SC to look for job opportunities. Dornsife Office of Overseas Studies also has some opportunities sometimes abroad that can be checked out. And like John said, that recruitment for summer right now is already ongoing. So that's something that, internships, they're typically experiential learning related to your future career. So they're really kind of tailored towards what you think you might want to go in or your academic area of study. But you're certainly not limited to what, most students would consider as being like a formal internship. On-campus jobs, working at the USC libraries, at the bookstore, as part of athletics. Again, you can find those on Connect SC or Dornsife Compass. Opportunities in your hometown or a local community. I was a camp counselor my freshman summer. It was a great experience. It's something I would never gotten to do outside of that summer because after that, I was doing more formal internships with engineering companies, for example. So There's definitely opportunities to take those part-time jobs, whatever they are. They will be relevant experience, even if they're not directly, or they'll be worthwhile experience, even if they're not directly related to your intended career path. And then for those of you, if any of you are pre-health, the pre-health advising office also has a whole bunch of opportunities for volunteering, for shadowing, certain programs that are specifically summer programs for pre-health, and there you have a whole resource sheet of different opportunities for students who are looking for kind of getting more of that clinical insight into what it's like to be a clinician. And then lastly, outside of work opportunities, employment opportunities, and academic opportunities, there's so many other ways to make your summer valuable. So utilize this time for career development. Engage in the different things that John talked about in terms of exploration. Start working on a resume if you haven't had one. There's professional conferences or informational interviews or other places where you might be able to network. These are great opportunities to take advantage of those during the summer when you don't have to worry about your classes. Similarly, academic exploration. If you're not yet totally decided on a major or you're not considering a minor, this is a time to really dive into that and to consider what might be out there. It's also an opportunity to build new skills, even if you are not taking a formal class. If you're interested in learning how to program, or if you're interested in learning some, basics of, social media design or something like that, graphic design. There are all kinds of classes, many, free, that might help expand your mind and your horizon. One of the things I like to mention is LinkedIn Learning, which is actually something that's provided by USC. And they have 8,000 classes that you can watch online on literally every topic you could think of. So if you find yourself where you're not, working over the summer and you've got a little free time on your hands, these are still ways you can build a lot of skills. If you're interested in graduate school, great time to start your research. Start looking at what admissions requirements are. And then also don't forget about personal enrichment. It's not all just work. It's also about expanding your mind and doing the things that you want to do and taking advantage of the fact that you have this time and this break. So travel, volunteer work, hobbies, and self-care, they are important as well. And, I can tell you that I've definitely had interviews where I connect with someone on a hobby. And so sometimes it is valuable as well to your career search to have those extra interests, those outside interests. So lots of different ways to maximize your summer. Before we let you go, we wanted to have you think about a couple reflection questions. So some things to consider as you're sitting here, kind of almost through your first semester. What have you learned about yourself this semester? What have you learned about your interests, your abilities, your goals, your principles, your values? These are really important things to think about as you're thinking about what your career aim might be. Do you currently have a career aim? And if so, how committed are you to that path? Some students come in and they're like, I'm going to be a doctor. And they are completely certain that is what they want to do, and that's great. And other students are like, I think I want to be a doctor. So evaluating kind of where you stand. If you're still exploring, what resources are you going to use? Are you going to use those informational interviews? Are you going to look at who's the alumni on LinkedIn? Are you going to schedule a meeting with John? So thinking about what resources you want to use when you're exploring, and you should still be exploring. And then what are your career goals for the remainder of your first semester, spring semester, and summer? So we really encourage you to think about what's one or two goals, and those could be as light as I'm going to spend 20 minutes, looking at Dornsife Compass and seeing what's out there. And that's what I'm going to do for the rest. That's my career goal for this semester. So set some milestones for things that you might want to do as you start to begin on this path. Because as John said, the sooner you start, the better. This is just our contact for Dornsife First Year Advising. I know that John put up his earlier, so that is there. We do have an opportunity for some more t-shirts. So while you all fill out this post-event eval, so if you could go ahead and scan this QR code and fill out our post-event eval. And I do have a couple of questions that I'll ask in a second. And we have the opportunity to earn some more t-shirts. And then we'll open the floor up for questions. And for everybody who didn't know, you will get a copy of at least our slides. Are you comfortable sharing?
Yeah, absolutely.
You'll get a copy of the slides. So any of the links that are in the presentation, I saw some folks taking pictures, you will be able to see in more detail. So if everyone wants to take a minute to fill out the survey, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I know you all are working on that. It should be hopefully pretty short. A couple questions. All right, I've got a couple questions for you all for another opportunity for a t-shirt.
It says can't submit you do not have permission to view the survey.
It's okay. You'll get it via email.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Which document is typically asked for when applying for jobs and employment? Does anybody know that answer? Yeah. Resume. Fantastic. What are, and there's name one, the two USC job portals? One for Dornsife students, one for regular.
Connect SC.
Connect SC is one. Oh, I'm so sorry. That's what I got. Yes. Right there.
Compass.
Dornsife Compass. I'm not going to throw them anymore. I'm so sorry.
I can roll.
And then there are two networking events coming up next week that John mentioned. Does anybody remember what those were? Back there.
The graduate school fair.
That's one. I'm not going to run that. And over there. Pre-law. Correct. The law school fair. All right. Thanks all. That was it. But we have time for any questions for John or myself. So if you have questions, let us know. Feel free to raise your hand if you have questions. Or just go.
Or come up and talk to me.
Or come up and talk to him. Thank you.
就是最实习的经历重要，比如跟相关领域或相关联。